All right, guys. So let's look at our second foldable. It's on a sheet, and the top of the sheet looks like this. So you're going to want to cut this to fit your interactive student notebook. So a lot of this is review from what our other foldable was. We're just going to go into a little bit more depth, and then we're going to do an example. And I think after we do an example, it'll really help some of you guys understand what we're talking about here. All right, so once again, the conditional statement, guys, it's written, mathematically, it's written like this. Okay, and in words, we would say, if P, then Q. Okay, it's also stated sometimes as P implies Q. Okay, just so you know. Now, if we're going to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion, here's my hypothesis. Remember, hypothesis always comes first. Here's my conclusion. Okay, same thing over here. My Q is my conclusion. My P is my hypothesis. All right, so now let's look at the converse. So the difference between the conditional and the converse is the converse, all we do is we switch the hypothesis and we switch the conclusion of the conditional statement. Okay, so we're just flip-flopping them. So notice this was if P then Q. Now we have if Q then P, right? And it also could be stated as Q implies P. Okay, now let's think about this. Remember, the hypothesis always comes first. So here, our Q is my hypothesis. And it's flip-flopped, so now my P is my conclusion. All right, let's go to inverse now. So inverse, we're no longer flipping the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. What we're doing is we are negating, or negation of both the hypothesis and conclusion. I probably should have written, let me redraw that, negation. So negation of both the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional statement. So once again, mathematical terms, here we are. And we would say, if not P, then not Q. So just like the conditional statement, the P comes first, but now we are not P. Okay, so we could also say not P implies not Q. And just like we did before, our hypothesis now is this not P. And then our conclusion is the not Q. All right, one more. All right, so now we have the contrapositive. Okay, so now we're doing a few things when compared to the conditional statement. Okay, we are switching. So we're going to switch the hypothesis and conclusion of the conditional statement, and we're negating it. But if we compare it to the converse, okay, now the order's the same, so we're going to compare it to the converse. The order's the same as far as Q comes before P, but this time we have a not Q and a not P. Okay, so we're going to negate both the hypothesis and conclusion of the converse of the conditional statement. Okay, so as you could probably guess, this can also be not Q implies not P. Okay, and my hypothesis, remember hypothesis always comes first, so it's my not Q is my hypothesis. And then my not P is my conclusion. All right, so let's do some examples. I think this is when you guys are going to be like, oh, okay. So just from the previous page, we know our conditional statement is written if P, then Q. And our converse is, we're going to flip those, if Q, then P. Now our inverse, we're going back to the conditional and we're negating it. so not P, then not Q. Now our converse, we're switching the order and we're making them both not. So this would be if not Q, then not P. Okay, so if we can get to that point, that kind of guides everything else that we're doing. Okay, so we're letting P be, it is raining, and Q be, it is cloudy. Okay, so every time we see a P, we're going to write, it is raining, and when we say Q, we're going to substitute, it is cloudy. But remember, these are all if-then statements. Okay, so the conditional statement would be if, well, this is if P, then Q, so if it is raining, comma, then my Q comes, it is cloudy. If it is raining, then it is cloudy. Okay, now my converse of that, I'm switching my hypothesis and the conclusion. So now it's if Q, then P. So if, well, my Q is, it is cloudy. So if it is cloudy, then, well, then my P happens, so then it is raining. Ooh, can't spell raining. Okay, so notice these two, when you compare them, they have all the same words. They're just flipped the order that they happen, right? Because our P and our Q is flipped, and our Q and our P is flipped. All right, converse. So this is if not P, then not Q. Well, if P is, it is raining, my not P would be, it is not raining. And if Q is, it is cloudy, my not Q would be, it is not cloudy. Okay, so if I were to write this, not P implies not Q, or if not P, then not Q, I'd say if, well, my not P is, it is not raining, comma, then my not Q is, it is not cloudy. If it is not raining, then it is not cloudy. Okay, now my contrapositive, guys, now I'm doing a whole bunch of things when compared to my conditional statement. So now I'm flipping my P and my Q, and I'm making both not. So this is if not Q, then not P. Okay, so if, well, my not Q is, it is not cloudy. So if it is not cloudy, comma, then my not P comes in, so it is not raining. So that would be an example of how the conditional, converse, inverse, and contrapositive are the same, but yet very, very different.